want to transition, right? Because Dr. Jatala, you talked about teaching your kid at such a young age to know about stocks and trading. But before there, though, right? There are so many different banking instruments, right? So you're the founder of Kids Who Bank, and there's so many financial instruments that kids could take advantage of at an early age that can help set the mindset first and foremost, but then also set up for financial wealth. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So one of the first things I tell parents is that when you, even just as a single person, before you even have a child, one, setting them up in the sense of having a trust for them and having that tax-free money or reducing how much taxes you pay or even how much taxes they have to pay off of the wealth that you create for them, that's important. And then when they start to come into the earth, let's be honest, our children are very picky. They have all these requests. I don't like that apple juice, I like this brand, and that brand is $7 and this one is $2, and I'm looking at this child like, you have expensive taste, right? And when we start having those conversations with our kids, we can start teaching them about budgeting. And right, so that's number one for me, is teach a child about budgeting. It's not about how much money you have. Yeah, we can afford it, right? Some of us can't, and some of us can. And it's not about if you can afford it. It's about perspective and making sure that even if your child might be entitled, they're not spoiled, right? And it's funny, I was having this conversation, and there's a big difference. So you can have a child who gets everything in the world but still remains humbled. And it's so important that we had that budget conversation with them. Okay, you know what? If you get this juice, then guess what? Tomorrow, that means that instead of buying a Hot Wheel car, you have to maybe do more chores. Even at 2, 3 years old. At 2 years old, put your Hot Wheels away and you earned a quota towards whatever you want. And then you start teaching them about earning. So now they're learning about budgeting, they're learning about earning, and then they start to learn about spending. And then we start teaching just these little fundamentals. So before you even get them to the apps and they start getting games that they can play to do these things, it's just the basic stuff that you do at home every day with your 2-year-old, your 3-year-old. It's once they can open their mouth and say, Mommy, I want this, or shake their head and say, I don't like something, you can start teaching them the basics.
Love that, love that, love that. And so Francis, right, so now they learn the basics, right? They know how to budget. They're learning about, how to earn money, and they have that value. We know, right, that if we're only budgeting, if we're only, earning, right, and not allowing our money to grow, real wealth is not going to happen. And so at a young age, 7 years old, right, you learned at 13, then you started teaching your son at 7 years old how to trade stock. Talk a little bit about that process, and how can anyone who has a child, a grandchild, a nephew, a niece, a young one that wants to get their young kid into stocks, where would they start?
Yeah, it's pretty simple, honestly. A lot of times we overcomplicate stocks and investing and things like that, but we go to school for 12 years and learn more complex things than stocks. Right, we all have companies. Every company out here, Nike, Tesla, whatever. They see it. They see these companies. Like she was saying earlier, like her son, saw the company and said he wants to invest in it. So, the main thing is just starting with the basics. Starting with, green candlesticks, or price goes up. Red candlesticks, price goes down. Simple concepts like support and resistance. These are things that, as long as you know it, you can explain to your child. And honestly, it's important. The trading is a skill set, so it's something that you introduce to them and they can grow over time. I honestly, even though I'm stock partial, right, I'm partial to stocks and trading, even a more important skill set, I think, is entrepreneurship and teaching your child how to be an entrepreneur at an early age, right? Because that concept is something that once they get the entrepreneurial mindset, they'll look at their perspective in life becomes entrepreneurial, and it's just so important. My same son I'm talking about now, we started a candle business for him, or he started a candle. I asked him what business he wanted to start, and he suggested candles, and we started, his little candle stuff, bought his supplies. the math that he was having trouble with in school, he learned real quick when it came to his money, right? Like he figured it out. So yeah, so he started, simple things. This is how much the materials cost. This is how much your net profit is. This is how much you can keep. This is how much you reinvest. And once you start going through the numbers of, all right, if you make this amount of candles every day and we're able to sell them, you can make this amount, $150 a day. And for him, I mean, obviously that's a lot of money for a kid. So that mindset right there, learning how to start and scale a business from a young age, and then learning how to multiply it with a skill set like stocks, even in real estate. Matter of fact, now I'm thinking about it, when I was flipping houses, he was like 4 or 5 years old with me. I didn't even know he was paying attention. But he'll come to all my properties and deal with the contractors, and I'd have him pay the contractors sometimes. And he started to say, this is where the master bedroom's gonna go, and this is where the bathroom. And I'm like, this kid, he's paying attention. He'll sweep up stuff and he would take care of the property like it was his own. You know what I mean? So those are the type of things that you want to expose your child to, especially if you're doing it. And if you're not, find people who are. There's YouTube videos out there. Just be conscious of it, you know what I mean? And start putting your children in that path, because like I said, we don't know where we're going to be tomorrow, but the information they have and their mindset now is what's going to take them throughout the rest of their life. You know what I mean?
I love that, love that, love that. And so Professor Williams, my guy Lenny, talk a little bit about the importance of putting the medicine in the candy, right? And the reason why I say that is because Trill or Not Trill, actually, publicly, Lenny and Jeff are the reason for my selling book, right? Because I had a book, I was trying to teach financial literacy, and nobody cared. But then I connected with Lenny and Jeff, and they were doing so much innovative stuff where they were putting pop culture in their leadership. And so I was like, oh, let me try that. I said, hold on, let me borrow that. And then I, wrote a book when Jay-Z came out with 444. It actually, before I even wrote the book, I actually went and did it at your college, and then it took off, right? And then I realized, like, oh, put the medicine in the candy. Talk a little bit about that process, especially as it relates to budget and, stocks and just getting kids to learn and adapt to stuff.
Yeah, we have to understand what our kids like, right? And that's from movies to shows to books. We also have to let our kids just explore. Like I always tell parents to let your child explore. There was a time when kids played video games and people thought it was crazy, right? You have like an old black grandmother like myself, it was like you burning up all the electric. And now, that's a 6-figure job, 7-figure job in e-gaming, right? That's a scholarship at a college. So it's important to let your child explore, right? You might have wanted to go to school for media arts, or you might have wanted to go to school for English, but that's you. Your child might be looking at something else that is futuristic, that might not be right there just right now, but it can be there 5 years from now, 10 years from now. That's number one. So understanding what your child like. So for me, I do it in my own business. I love pop culture. I love sneakers. I love people. I love doing conferences. And I turn that into a business. It's like making a crock pot. I just put a whole bunch of ingredients in the pot. And I was like, this somehow is going to be some type of business. And now it's a business. So it's important for us to, one, explore, one, understand what our children like, what we like, and how do we blend that together and turn that into education. But what's lastly important for my educators is be a human first before an educator. Be a human first before being a business person. Be a human first before being a parent. Because being a human, you understand from a human to human, what is making them click? What is making them come to class every day? My sneakers work in my college. My sneakers work when I taught in China. It might not work in certain areas. So I gotta figure out, what is it gonna make you click? What is your favorite movie? What is your favorite show? You know what, let's watch it together. I didn't know what Roblox was, but when my nieces come over, I'm pulling up, like, yo, what's up? I'm about to play Roblox too. Uncle Lenny's not good, but we're gonna play, right? We're gonna figure it out. And then I say, how does Roblox, how do we formulate that into a conversation around if the company is public, right? How do we formulate that into, can you buy stocks into that company? How do we formulate that into, that's an app developer. They did a video game. That's actually a job. And then now you're on their level because you're playing their game. Now they're on your level because you understand the education, and we put the two together, and that's how you make things engaging.